The Kingdom of Dorne, 319 years after Aegon Targaryen conquered Westeros and the great kings of Westeros bent the knee to his rule, all except Prince Nymor Martell, who thwarted the dragon at each turn. Dorne would keep its independence for many years, but eventually Dorne would become part of the Seven Kingdoms until less than 20 years ago. The shattering broke the Seven Kingdoms into many smaller warring fiefdoms like the ancient times. Dorne broke free of the shackles of King's Landing and remained by a large whole, but was threatened by Quentyn Martell's claim to the throne over his elder sister and rightful heir to Prince Doran Martell's seat of Sunspear. After 4 years of fighting, Quentyn was forced to flee to Essos in exile, leaving Arya and Martell the victor, but Dorne splintered and fractured. 4 years after Quentyn's war, Dorne still attempts to pick up the pieces with a monarch without a true-born heir. You guys saw the screen change, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Alright. The Redwater flows from Skyreach to the Sea of Dorne, for as the Rhoynar have inhabited the lands of Dorne, so has House Redmane stood. Once they ruled the delta of the Redwater Hole. They raised amazing steeds, hardy and swift, a cross between a courser and a sand steed. Their horses brought them fame and riches, but eventually their house fell into ruin. When Dorne bent the knee, so with it came a famous warrior named Henry the Hawk Redmane. He was chivalrous and brave, skilled and strong. The king, in his wisdom, requested the Prince of Dorne give Henry's bastard a claim of a long-abandoned hall that House Redmane allowed to fall into disrepair. With it came the lands nearby, taxes and rights of pits and gallows. The prince agreed, and so it was renamed the Perch. In the end, House Redhawk was born from equal parts of glory and disaster. House Redmane's folly continued, and eventually they could not be trusted to rule in the king's name, and so the lords of Redwater Keep are no more, and their justice is not their own to give. Over the years, their influence and lands waned while House Redhawks grew. Redwater Keep was little more than the ruins of Little Sister and the Brother who had crumbled into the sea hundreds, if not thousands, of years before. Old hurts mend slowly, and the new wounds fester. Both are in ample supply between House Redhawk and Redmane, with no time to heal the hurts of past years. "4 years ago, Redwater Keep was surrounded. Men and women stuck inside and starved as the protracted siege lasted upward of 2 years. Luckily, very few actually died, but blades were drawn and cousins fought cousins, brother fought brother, and those hurts so slowly healed were torn apart to fester and bleed once more. Beneath the sway of their overlords, 2 minor noble houses did the bidding of their masters, Quentyn Martell or Arianne Martell, a man or a woman, the second born of the first. Did it matter to the first man run down on the bridge, simply working that day as a paid guard? Did it matter to the small folk that starved and were displaced on each side of the river? Did it matter to those that would die in the many years to come? Will you tear and rend those many cuts and bleed anew? Will you fight for duty? Will you fight for honor? Will you die for the same? Will you let greed rule you? Will you let your betters direct you in their machinations? What will the stories read of your life along the Redwater? Will the blood of the Redwater be your own or your rivals? For when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground." In the first month of 319 AC, and Westeros has begun to thaw from a 2-year winter. If the Citadel still trained maesters, they would release their birds to signal spring was upon the land. Even in Dorne, cool winds had come down from the north, and no cooler was it than here in the Red Mountains. The former winter was much less harsh than which began the shattering. The shattering winter, they called it, and rightfully so, as many men died from steel and hunger alike. Today, the halls filled with family and retainers as honored guests were being greeted on their way to the Perch, delegates of the Faith Militant. Lord Oliver Redhawk was a man of 45. He was a fighting man in his youth, fighting in the shattering under the banner of his father, Lord Roland Redhawk, who commanded the 3 sieges of Craycall in the Westerlands. Lord Oliver leaves the defenses of his house to his younger son now, but still keeps himself fit and sharp. Although lately much of the management of his house has fallen to others, where Lord Oliver's days are spent in prayer. With his niece's year-long tenure as the House's Septa, so has Oliver grown more pious. The Perch only had a very small sept, hardly the size of a large pantry, but Lord Oliver and Lady Leorta spent many hours with him praying to the gods to atone for some unknown sins. Today Lord Oliver has risen from his knees only to sit upon his small, tall-backed throne. In the Perch Great Hall had no dais, and so the Lord sat even with everyone else. There were 2 chairs fixed nearby. Once it would have been for Lord Oliver's wife and the house maester, but now Leora sat to his left and his son to his right. Lord Oliver's wife was long dead. Table benches were set before the Lord, which typically seated his family and honored servants and guests, while the rest of his household stay at the end of the hall in clusters of round, simple tables. Behind Lord Oliver was a red banner of the house Redhawk, a red hawk within a black sun on a light brown field, or a hawk gullas in a sun and splendor sable. House Redhawk wasn't an ancient house, but their fortunes had risen over the last 100 years. Founded by the son of a knight of the Kingsguard for King Daring the Good, House Redhawk now controlled much of the foothills of the Red Mountains near the Redwater River. Unfortunately, they were not alone. Their cousins, of which technically House Redhawk was a cadet branch, sat on the other side of the river. They were House Redmane, a lusty and traitorous house. Ever the rivals of the 2 houses have feuded for the last 100 years, but never so strongly as the last 10. Lord Oliver's sister had eloped with the current lord of House Redmane, and as such injured House Redhawk more than could even the Shattering or Quentin's War. Quentin's War was the last conflict with Endor, and House Redhawk had risen up with their liege, House Ironwood, for the rightful king, Quentin Martell. The Redmanes had betrayed Ironwood and sided with the pretender, Ariane Martell. It was just one more finger in an already bleeding wound. But now, under Princess Ariane's peace, House Redhawk looked across the river at their rivals with disgust and displeasure. How long would it be before the powder keg ignited? It seemed an eventuality, but today was a day of greetings and feast. None would shrink at the opportunity to make merry in such sullen times as these. Okay, so currently you sit within the Perch and the Long Hall that is ruled by Lord Oliver Redhawk. What you see before you are the people in the Long Hall currently. You will be playing 1 PC. These, I'm assuming, are your main PCs. So if you're wanting to play somebody other than your primary PC now is the time to tell me. So based on that, what I would like to do is have everyone, starting with whoever wants to really, describe their character, describe who they are, what they look like, and that sort of thing. So whoever would like to, feel free to get started.
Yeah, I can go first with.
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, so you see Henry sitting up here next to Olivar. So Olivar looks clearly. Henry looks like a very young Olivar if he, hadn't seen so much battle. He's very attractive by the standards of, I guess, Westeros and Dorne. He's pretty tall and lean and wears it's a brigandine armor, normally, but now he would just be in some very nice, like, leathers, something like that. But just like his token, short hair with a short beard and a fancy mustache, always well trimmed, well groomed, and that's about it. He would wear the colors in all of his outfits of the Redhawk, so that, like, the red and the black.
Okay.
And then maybe the logo or the actual picture somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much Henry.
Okay.
I guess I can go next.
Okay.
So Orlin, quite old, probably as old as Oliver, not a little bit older. His age shows through his hair as well. It's once black, now peppered. He wears a long cloak that is made entirely just to cover up the arm that he lost, in which he sometimes grabs whenever he's deep in thought or he's concerned. He's probably wearing his colors as well, the black and blue, but he of course wears a little bit of red as well to show his allegiance to the Redhawks as well.
Okay, and Orlin is what within the house?
He's so that's the question. I remember Swamp saying that he figured that Henry would be Castellan.
I think Orlin would be Castellan when it came to, like, the minor details of things. Obviously, when a major decision would come up, I'm sure it was Henry, but, like, I'm sure that he doesn't want to deal with the minutia of things.
Right, that's exactly how I would picture it. Like, yeah, exactly. Henry would be interested in the larger picture. He would definitely trust him with the day-to-day, I guess you could say.
Right. So it's kind of like the hand, but in a much smaller scale.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So in a sense, he would be kind of a Castellan, somewhat, but more advisor in that sense.
Okay.
I think that leaves me.
Two more of you. Go ahead. Whoever wants to go.
Okay, I might go next.
Okay.
Go ahead then.
At the table across from Leora, you see Horus, a mountain of a man standing 6'6", well over 270 pounds. He's got as you can see, short black hair, a kept slight beard. He's probably wearing okay clothes. They look, even though they're a more fitting attire for court, they still have the look of traveler's clothes, like he's always ready to go. And I believe this was a matter of some question. Is he the Master at Arms?
Yes.
Okay, he's currently the Master at Arms in charge of the personal guard, and he's a tried and true battle commander.
So do you want to quickly explain how he's attached to the house through marriage and all that stuff?
Sure.
Not to interrupt, but is it the garrison or the personal guard for man at arms? Is it both?
It would. I mean, it just depends. Probably garrison, honestly, but I mean, it doesn't.
Okay,
really,
that makes sense then.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I was just whatever. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I thought I had read in the book, but I could be wrong, and maybe that was just something we were talking about.
It just kind of just depends on the way you want it, right? I mean, the Master at Arms would be in charge of training a lot of the men in the Perch. He would be probably in charge of training any young men, particularly the family of Oliver, which he has no young children that are males, so there's nobody to train there. But if you think of someone like Roderick Cassell from the show or the books, it'd be that kind of character, right? That's what he would be doing.
Right. So whatever because we have people that can be in the other ones. So whatever Horace would want would actually be in control of is whatever. Yeah, so it's your choice. But yeah, I was just curious.
Okay, so I can see him like training the garrison. When it comes down to it, was there anyone currently in charge of the house guard?
Well, remember, we made that halberd guy, but he can just as easily be with the garrison. So.
Well, you have multiple garrison units, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's 2.
Okay, I don't mind the garrison then. He's in charge of the garrison. The story of how he came involved with House Redhawk was he was originally a member of House, I think I said Stoneguard?
Correct.
A legitimized house some years back from the Vale. And he left there in a huff because he's a third son and there's really nothing for him to do there. And his brother and his other brothers were starting to hate on him. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather today.
And he married Leora, right?
Yeah.
So basically, he married Oliver's niece from his dead brother, and Oliver just decided to allow a matriarchal marriage, so he took the Redhawk name. General gist of it.
Aye.
Marcus?
Marcus is a Redmane. He's the youngest brother of Aaron Redmane. But because he wasn't, I think he was third or fourth brother of Aaron. And because of that, he was sent to the Citadel, where he studied as an acolyte, and ended up leaving and never forged his chain, and came back to House Redmane. Yeah, House Redmane, and never really left the situation there, and instead came out to his cousin and became a council/advisor member for Oliver.
He would probably be considered the steward, right? So, like,
steward.
Like financial issues, he would be in charge of greatly. And he's a very educated person compared to Westeros in these times. So.
Yeah. He is 35, so about 10 years younger than Oliver. He has peppery black hair, a long nose. He's not ugly, but he's not handsome. His wife is Rihanna. She was a cousin of a Hightower, or not a Hightower. What's their names?
Koi.
And we came up with it. Yes, a Kai. And yeah, that's pretty much Marcus.
Okay. So as you are feasting, the servants are bringing in the food and everything, and everybody seems to, know what's coming, right? And that's the Faith Militant are going to be here very soon. So what's everyone's thoughts about the Faith Militant? So the Faith Militant, for those that aren't exactly sure, so this is a militarized version of the Seven, right? So they have been backed by particularly the Reach, which is north of Dorne, obviously, and they are growing in size, and they're fighting against followers of the Red God, which have started to proliferate Westeros at this time. And so what is everybody's thoughts about the Faith Militant?
Alright, so Henry is basically probably more like his father was like 20 years ago, in the sense that he's not religious at all and doesn't really understand why people are, and so pretty much anything like that he wouldn't really approve of. Like, he wouldn't be a fan, that's for sure.
For Orlin, he was once a devout follower of the Seven, but with the event that took his wife Rebecca, sister of Leora, he denounced them, but like this was to himself. more like he stopped believing. He said, he's been a devout follower of the seven, yet they could not save his his benign wife.
Okay.
So in a sense, he's a bit bitter.
Makes sense. Does everybody else think?
Marcus, being someone who's learned a lot and who's been taught, he probably wouldn't be inclined to believe the seven. I mean, he wouldn't openly disagree with them because he has no answers himself, but he wouldn't believe in the faith of the seven, so he probably doesn't believe in the Faith Militant either.
Okay. So how does Horus feel? Mm-hmm.
I think Horus likes what the seven stand for and is slowly but surely becoming more faithful through his wife. But I don't think he agrees with the Faith Militant.
Okay. So if you had to think of your dispositions, what do you think they would be? Henry, you sounded like a dislike to me? Or maybe
a pretty strong dislike.
So you want to go all the way to unfriendly?
I think, okay, so here's my question with that. Can he start unfriendly and then, like, mid-conversations, if say they do something or something like that that kind of makes me feel, but can that switch?
Yeah, it can switch. You can't switch in the middle of an intrigue, but you could switch otherwise, yes.
So, like I said, I think he would be like his dad was as a young man, and he would he would be unfriendly.
Okay. What does everybody else think?
I'd be unfriendly.
That was Orlin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Horus dislikes.
I think the only reason why Orlin is really okay with this is because his best friend Oliver, wants this. He's a devout follower, so he's doing, he's there as a friend, but not as a follower.
Mm-hmm. What does Marcus think?
Marcus would probably be dislike.
Okay. All right. So Oliver looks over to his son Henry, and he actually has a smile on his face. He's not been smiling much lately, and he's like, today is an honored day. He's like, I want you to make sure you show respect to the men that have come. They're important men in the Faith Militant.
Henry nods and he says, I will respect them for you, but not for what they stand for.
And Oliver takes a deep breath and shakes his head, and he's like, you should join Leora and I in prayer later today, son. He's like, there are many things you should contemplate on.
He says, contemplation can come without prayer.
And he shakes his head, and he's like, there can be no peace without the seven. And he kind of like puts a hand on your shoulder briefly and takes a deep breath, where Leora is just kind of like shooting daggers at you with her eyes, and she kind of looks over to the table where Orlin, Marcus, and Horus are, and she kind of approaches you, and she's like, Horus.
Yes, my love.
And she just kind of like frowns at that, being called that, and she's like, I expect you all to behave yourself. Today is an important day for the Lord.
I'll respect it for you, my dear. My Septa.
I will be on my best behavior, or at least I'll try.
And
Marcus smiles and says, of course.
And she's like, kind of just huffs and turns around and walks back to her seat. And over the next half an hour or so, feasts are, slowing down, and then the large double wooden doors are pushed open at the end of the hallway, and the man, like basically a crier or something along those lines, announces, and he is dressed in, basically, he is dressed in very, very shoddy clothes. And he calls out, Sir Garion Blackbar and Sir Adam Waxley of the Faith Militant. And these two men walk into the hallway, and behind them are I guess what you would call about a half a dozen men looking very, very shabby. So if you guys want to, you can roll knowledge education.
Sure.
And what you'll be doing is you'll be going from so you're going against a TN of 9, so that's your target number. You can either just roll it, or you can use the complex skill or the simple skill macros just to kind of try them out if you want. I don't really care. So what you're going to be doing, so you'll take what your knowledge is. That is your roll that that's the dice you're going to keep. And then if you have education, you would add that to that. So let's say, for instance, you had 1 education and 3 knowledge. You would roll 4 dice and keep 3. So if I was going to roll it manually, it would look like this. Okay, so that's roll 46, keep 3 dice. That's what that means. So you can do it that way, or you can do it with the macros. It's completely up to you.
And if you don't
So
have
what do we put
education,
for target?
9.
Forgot the age.
Yeah, no
Or does it
age.
do automatically?
So
And this isn't the sort of like thing like swimming. Like if I don't have education, I can still roll.
yeah, you can still roll. You can still roll with everything. It's just you just don't have a specialty die with that. So
Okay.
like if you look at Brett's roll, for instance, so he must have 2 education, right? So he
Yep.
rolled 5 dice and kept 3.
Okay, I'm picking that up.
so if you don't have any education, what
So
amount
if
do you keep?
you just keep you keep what you roll. So you would, let's say you had 3 knowledge with no education, then you roll 3d6, keep 3. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sorry, I was typing
No,
it.
no problem.
Did that work right when I typed it in?
No, I don't think it did.
I don't know if that
Try
worked.
again.
So-
complex.
So, Will, you have 4 knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
1 education.
so I'm talking to Orlin real quick. So, you have 4 knowledge. Is
Yep.
that correct? Okay, so your roll is correct.
That is correct.
Yep. So,
Okay.
so for you, Henry, if you have 1 education, it looks like you kept 1 die. So basically, when you click the complex skill, it should ask you what your total dice pool is. So
Okay.
that would be whatever your rolled dice is plus your specialty. So your knowledge
be
plus
5.
education. So 5, and then it'll ask you how much your specialty dice is or whatever.
It says keep.
Oh, then you put 4 in there. If you have 4 knowledge.
And then target.
9.
There, yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone but Horus knows who these other men are. These other men are called the Poor Fellows. They are the small folk members of the Faith Militant, which are the majority of them. They're wearing like brown drab smocks essentially, and they're not armed currently, but they are just trailing the 2 knights who are dressed in immaculate armor, and both have capes with the colors of the rainbows flowing behind them. And the 2 old men, old knights, kind of walk forward and stand before the Lord. And Oliver jumps out and walks over and gives them a short bow, and he's like, "My lords, welcome to the Perch." And they both bow reverently, and they're like, "Thank you, my lord." And they kind of look around and they're like, please, please, let us talk of your men here and the fine deeds. We would meet everyone. And so they kind of wait for everyone to kind of introduce themselves. And Oliver kind of looks back and he waves Henry forward first.
So when he waves Henry forward, he stands up and very subtly like sighs, but yeah, continues to or walks towards the two.
And Oliver kind of like puts his hand across Henry's shoulders and he's like, this is my son and heir, Henry. And they both nod and both men extend their hand in greeting to you.
Henry shakes both of their hands.
And then,
but it's a pretty limp handshake. It's just kind of like a quick like,
they're assaulted by a wet noodle.
Yeah.
What arm are they extending?
They're
just
right,
out of curiosity.
They're right arms.
Okay.
Sorry, what'd you say?
He was asking what arms they were extending to shake. And Oliver looks to Orlin and he's like, my castellan and good friend, Orlin Blackwater. And they extend their right hands to you, not knowing what your cloak is covering.
I'm sorry, but I am unable to shake your hands unless you use the other.
And they kind of look between each other, and it kind of doesn't dawn on them, it doesn't look like, but they kind of shrug it off and extend their left hands awkwardly to shake yours.
I figure Horace has a look on his face like if someone were to wave at Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, so I shake their hands begrudgingly and kind of put on kind of like the whole when you're meeting people that you don't know, so you kind of do that like you press your lips together, kind of like a nice to meet you, sort of
fake kind of smile type of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then Oliver, he's like, and my good nephew Horace Redhawk, famous in the battle famous in Quentin's War. And they look and they're like, a warrior. And they extend their hands to you as well.
Indeed, sirs. A pleasure to meet you. I'll grasp both of their hands, and then with each of them, their hands I shake, I look to their men. And do the same guy, I look to the men, noting the difference in the attire. Then returns to his seat after that.
Okay.
Kind of like thinking to himself, not even leather armor.
Yeah, they're not armored at all, as far as you can tell. They might have padded armor underneath their cloaks, but it's hard to say. They definitely don't have the fancy ornate armor like these guys do.
Just very obviously eyeballing the disparity between them and the cause they serve.
Can you guys hear me? Just
yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And then Oliver finally waves over Marcus, and he's like, and my steward, Marcus Redmayne, and he kind of grimaces as he says his name, and Oliver and Adam kind of look at each other, and they're like, a Redmayne serving here at the Perch? We had thought that would never be the case. And they kind of look you up and down.
It's only because my family is a bunch of schmucks. But he extends his hand. And shakes both of their hands and says, "It's a pleasure to meet both of you. Welcome to the Perch."
And they shake your hand and they're like, "Yes, we hadn't planned on going to the other side of the river. We know about their fornication and ways. Not of the church."
He says, yes, I know.
So, Lord Oliver goes and sits back down, and the two knights approach, and they say, "And while we're here, my lord, we might as well get to it." And Oliver is like, "Wait." And he calls over a servant, and she brings out the bread and salt, which is a ritual where it's basically a guest rite ritual where the parties eat this bread and salt to, and like basically communicate that they're not going to injure each other, basically that they're under the Lord's protection. So so he extends the bread and salt to both the Faith Militant. They take the bread, they eat it, they dip it in salt, and so Henry is also handed the bread and salt as the heir to also consume that.
And he does. Yeah, he does, I guess.
So with the ritual over, they continue. They're like, "My lord, as you know, the Faith Militant has for Horus, I mean, I don't think he would have all his like gear on, right? I mean, he
of course not. Like he doesn't have a pike, a great sword, or a flail.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal if you had a sword on your belt or whatever.
Okay.
And so they say, "As you know, my lord, we are fighting a long and terrible war with the apostates, the Red God, they are so called, which is spreading like wildfire through the kingdoms. And we are only simple men with our only household incomes and those given us by King Robert II of his name. We have come beseeching you for a gift to the seven of gold and silver, so we might fight this apostasy and drive back the red priests and their followers back to Essos and into the sea." And so Lord Oliver leans back and grips the sides of his throne, and he says, "A loan?" And they're like, "We would never be able to pay a loan, my lord. It must be a gift of charity." And Leor leans into Oliver and like whispers something into his ear. I want Henry to go ahead and roll like an awareness.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if I could do that.
Yep. So go ahead and roll awareness.
My man.
If you're using the skill test, it's a 9. If you're using the complex.
Yep.
Everybody else can try too, but it's versus a 15.
All I have is empathy, so
passive 12.
Apply, right?
What'd you say? It was 13?
15.
15. Okay, I'll roll it then.
So yeah, then you would just roll base awareness.
Right. Okay.
I feel Orlin would be looking at both Adam and Oliver, kind of sizing them up.
-1 degree of success.
We're the shit guys.
So
I don't think you kept anything there. No, you didn't keep anything.
I rolled it exactly like.
Yeah.
You have a 17 score.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, keep hot. Swamp. Here's what you want to do. You want to keep the number equal to your ability that you're checking.
Right.
Yeah.
So total die 4.
Yeah.
Keep 4.
Yep.
Target 9.
Mm-hmm.
I swear that's what I did, but I had to have hit something different because.
Okay. Well, you succeeded anyway. Horus almost succeeded. So basically, Horus...
I rolled a 9.
What's that?
I rolled the actual thing. I was just giving the example. I rolled a 9.
I see. Yeah. So Henry overhears her, and she basically is saying something to the effect of that this would purge him of his sins and basically help the Father accept him when he passes.
All right, and what is she to me? She's my aunt? Or
she is your cousin.
Cousin, yeah.
First cousin.
So that's when Henry says, he whispers as well. I said I would respect them, but this... I don't even know what word he would call her. I was gonna say witch, but it definitely wouldn't be that. I don't know. This woman doesn't know what she's talking about. You don't need to purge yourself of any sins. Giving these men gold is just stupid.
So are you whispering this to him then?
Well, yes, he doesn't want to. Like he said, he's trying to be semi-respectful to these men. So.
All right. Well, I think we need to start an intrigue soon. We'll do a couple more roleplay things first, but Lord Oliver, he looks at Henry and then looks at Leora, and then kind of frowns, and he's like, "My lords, here at the Perch we are not a wealthy house, but I would hear your reasons for such a request." And so does anybody else have anything to say?
Orlin would want to walk up to Oliver. I feel like being close friends, he would feel comfortable doing so.
Okay.
And he'll say, Oliver, I know you want to help, but you should think about your house before anything else. Your family. We're not doing well with money. I mean, no offense to the Seven. He says, he kind of says that kind of venomous in a sense. And he goes, I mean, no offense to the Seven, but we are in no position to help. I apologize.
What does everybody else say?
Would Marcus know, like, their, like, exact availability of, like, money?
Oh yeah, you know what's in the treasury for sure. You and Orlin definitely would.
Okay. Is it is it decent? Like, could we give them?
Well, you
a
have.
little bit?
I think you have 3 wealth and change.
Technically, that's a lot of gold, but
Yeah.
3 wealth is 600 gold, right?
Yeah.
But considering, I feel like we're not, we could be doing better, and I feel like we'd be, spending money on controlling the crime that's going around in our land.
Yeah.
What does
Marcus
Horace
would
think?
just.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Marcus would just walk up to Oliver and whisper to him that giving them money wouldn't be in our best interest, but not giving them money would also it would make him look less pious.
Would I be able to throw something else in there?
Yeah, sure. Keep going.
So Henry says, would it, and he addresses them, because I assume that we're all talking. Like, I mean, they clearly see a conversation going on.
Yeah.
He says, what if you guys paid us for the use of our men to stop these so-called apostates?
Orlin would kind of like shoot a dirty glance to Henry.
And this obviously
like,
isn't like, this is because we're not going to give them gold. And he's just trying to see like what their, like kind of, he's just trying to gauge what their options are, I guess, is kind of.
What does Horace think about giving some of the army away?
He's kind of shifting uncomfortably in his seat.
Not giving, just sending someone to do some attacks, or
like a troop loan for a contracted time.
Right, for like 3 months.
Well, Oliver speaks up and he's like, my young lord, we have to feed this army. Where are we going to get the money to feed such an army given to us? We have men fervent and willing to fight, but they also need food. They also need arms. And he like waves his arms back towards them. He's like, look at our poor fellows. They're ill-armed to fight against these apostates.
That's just... Oh, sorry, you did.
No. So let's do this. I think we're well into the intrigue zone here.
Right.
So let's go ahead and everybody's going to... so we're going to use our macro. So go ahead and click on your tokens and click your intrigue initiative macro, and it should add it to the counter.
I can't click my token, so I just dragged mine out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that one. Okay, that's fine.
What's your reputation? Reputation's your...
It is a specialty dice in status. So
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
What's quick? I don't know if I have. Yeah, quickness is just a specialty, right?
Yeah, quickness is not. So that's the initiative. That's the actually fighting initiative. So what you want is the one that says intrigue initiative. That's a different one.
That'd be a whole other issue in this scenario.
Yeah.
That would be status if you don't have the specialty.
Yes, just status or
okay.
status reputation.
So, okay, never mind. I think I got this. Penalty.
Holy tits. That can't be right. It's not right.
Apparently it is.
Let me.
It's absolutely not.
So Horus Redhawk. That is. So do you have 3 reputation?
There we go. That's better.
Okay.
For some reason I added or I didn't realize what happened.
3 status, so I'm just 3 and 0 penalty.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
0 bonus as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Reputation 0. There we go. That's better.
Alright, so let me order you guys. I rolled, didn't I? Go through. Oh, there, right. 13.
That's not right either, is it?
For who? Henry?
Oh, no, that's right.
You have. I don't know. Do you have
3 status.
Yeah, you have 3 status, but you're rolling. You're keeping. So it looks like you're rolling 6 and keeping 3. So that's not correct. You just want to. You basically want to do like on the roll. So it's going to ask you how many total dice. You say 3. How many did you keep?
No,
3.
It asks you for reputation bonus. So
Oh,
you put
so
0
that's
there.
0. Yep.
And then all of them are 0 technically because you don't think you have reputation.
Okay.
So just hit 0 for everything and you should be good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's automatically tied to the.
Oh damn! You got a 3 ones.
Wow.
Nailed it.
Henry just like
Our Lord Redhawk.
vomit. He just starts to vomit in his like lap, and
The future heir, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright, hold on 1 second, because these guys don't have macros, obviously.
Just like other games, I somehow beat you in initiative.
One more person. Okay. So, the people that are involved in the intrigue are the 4 of you, and 3 of them. So Leora, Adam, and Oliver, the other Oliver. So let's state we can come up with a general goal for you guys. So what is your goal? Is it to get Oliver to give them no money? Well, what is your overall goal?
My goal is to shoot.
I would say part with as little gold as possible without pissing them off.
I would like to kind of question them kind of on their decision. It's kind of because I'm kind of curious, but I guess it would be to do the same because I know Oliver is going to give money, so I feel like as little as possible that at least they would be somewhat somewhat satisfied with.
What does everybody else think?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as that.
I like that.
to be honest, Henry doesn't know where. He knows he doesn't want to give them money, but he's not really sure where this conversation's headed. So he's just kind of he's gonna wait and see. He definitely does not want to give them money.
Okay. So either give them no money or very little money. We'll say that. So
Right.
Lord, or Oliver Blackbar steps forward and he's like, "My lord, you are a pious man. We have read the missives from Lady Leora, Septa Leora, of your house. You are a man who can turn the tides for us, turn the tides for the seven. Your name will be entered into the books of the holy. The High Septon himself will sing your praises." Okay, so he's going to do a charm. So he is going to roll. So Oliver's disposition to them is affectionate. Okay.
Oh boy.
As you might expect, their disposition to him is amiable. So they're amiable to him, and he is affectionate to them. Okay. So essentially,
Get a plus.
so when he rolls, he is going to get a +3 on his roll. Okay, so if you look at the disposition charts in 8.1, a persuasion modifier is your disposition to someone else. So they're amiable, so they're going to get a +1 on their roll. Okay, his DR to them is only 1. So they're going to roll. So they're rolling. He is rolling persuasion charm. Okay. So there it is. So he rolled a 14. And then we would look at what his intrigue defense is. His intrigue defense is 10. Therefore, it's 1 degree of success. Okay. So it's 1 degree of success. He is using charm. If we look at the techniques, right, for charm, if you look at page 146, you'll see that the influence, an influence for charm is your charm rank. So that would be essentially 4 quote unquote damage, -1 for amiable, right? Or I'm sorry, -1 for affectionate. So a total of 3 composure loss for Oliver. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and do we know what his composure is?
No, you don't technically know what his composure is.
Okay.
But
And then,
go ahead.
so also a good page for everyone to look at is 149, because it has all the actions you can take, like assist, consider, fast talk, influence, manipulate.
Yeah, say you're not great at influences yourself. You can do things like assist or mollify. Mollify is a great one. Mollify can boost his composure, right? So you can be like, hey, don't do this, that kind of thing, and mollify him. So you get some. So you're going. So the next guy is Adam Waxley, and he's like, "Listen to your niece, my lord." He's like, "She speaks with your interested heart, with the 7 in mind." And so what he is going to do, if you look at that table, he's going to assist. So he's going to assist her next thing. So he needs to do a challenging persuasion test, and then he can lend 1/2 of his persuasion, if so. So with a persuasion test, he can use any persuasion specialty that he has. That makes sense. He doesn't have anything special. So if he beats a 9, he can add 1/2, and he did beat a 9 with a very good roll. So he's going to add, let's see, is it rounded? How is it rounded? Rounded down.
That's rounded down.
So he'll give Leora a +1 on her next roll. Okay, so go ahead, Marcus, you're up.
First, Marcus is gonna address Adam and Oliver, and he asks them what they'd be willing to, what they're asking for, the actual an amount. Do they have an amount that they're asking for, or are they just looking for whatever they can get?
So if you can do this and we can role play it, but if you can instead intrigue them and get them to do something other than intrigue Oliver, right? So you don't have to just intrigue Oliver to convince him.
Yeah.
Right. You can intrigue them instead. So we can just do this as roleplay, and that's fine if you don't want to intrigue them.
Easiest way. So I can't think of a way to intrigue them through it.
Well, you can also
you could bargain, right?
That's true.
Right.
It'll make it more complex, but that's fine.
Or assist other, but you don't know what other people are going to say though yet, so that would not be a logical thing.
If you'd like, you can assist me because I'm basically going to, I'm going to talk Oliver down, you know, make him reconsider his decision, or at least you know, think reasonably.
That's actually not a bad idea. I'll assist Orlin.
Okay, so
with
go ahead.
His roll.
So go ahead and make a persuasion roll with any. It can be bargain. So what are you gonna say to to assist? The role play portion.
So what are you going for, Orlin? You're going for that he should just be. What'd you say?
I'm convincing Oliver to think as, you know, to think of, you know, his people first, you know, is, you know, think about his position, about like what he can lend.
Yeah. So Marcus approaches, like he's talking to Oliver. He says, "My lord, times aren't good at the moment, but I think we can give them enough to suffice that you still look pious and will also still be saving yourself a good deal of money." And he'll roll a convince.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm just gonna roll it.
Yeah,
so who else would know the money? Like how much money?
Henry probably knows too. I doubt Horace knows, but
okay.
Yeah. Oof, holy moly.
Okay. So you succeed, and so you give +4 to. Or I'm sorry, you give +2 to Orlin's next roll.
Awesome.
Okay. So Lord Oliver nods and sees the wisdom of what you said, but before he can make any kind of comment, Leora says, "My lord," she's like, "remember what we've discussed. Remember the many hours on our knees praying to the Seven, to the Father, to the Warrior. Remember these times. This is a way beyond your mortal coil. This is your salvation." Okay, so she is going to roll with a +1. Okay, so she has a 15 versus his intrigue defense of 10. That is 2 degrees of success. He is an affectionate to her as well. She actually gets plus. Hold on. I don't think it's gonna matter, but yeah. Well, she's amiable to him, so she'll get a 16. It's not enough to matter. 2 degrees of success. She used a convince. Convince uses will rank. Her will is 5. So that's 10. minus 1, so that'd be 9. So that would actually effectively end the intrigue, but what he does, he like shakes his head and he's like, no, girl. He's like, it's not that simple. I have children to think of, my house. And so basically, typically the way these intrigues works is you're trying to intrigue each other, but he is going to basically take a frustration. Now, in that case, he would basically keep one less die. But since he is actually not trying to intrigue someone, I'm going to give the frustration to someone else. So I'm going to actually, he basically...
Henry would take that if he heard that, because he's pissed at that chick right now. He hates her.
Okay, you can take the frustration.
Because, it makes sense.
Yep.
What were you going to give it to?
I was going to give it to the next in line, right?
Okay.
Ooh. Of course.
Yeah. No, but Henry can take it. So he's gonna keep one less die. And if basically if Oliver takes amount of frustrations equal to his status, he's basically defeated. So he can't take more than 3 frustrations. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
So what does Orlin say?
Okay, so Orlin is going to stand up and he's going to say, Oliver, not only are you my friend, no, not only am I your friend, but I'm also your advisor. I look at these numbers every day, and I can tell you right now that this would not be a wise decision. I think we should reconsider being so, generous. I believe we can offer them compensation, but we also need to be smart about how we're spending that money.
Okay. So which specialty are you going to use? Are you going to
convince?
You're influence? You're doing influence, I assume. Okay. So you roll convince, persuasion.
Okay. So I'm kind of confused.
Okay.
I'm still confused about that. So.
That's fine. So how many specialty dice of convince do you have?
I have 1, but
Okay.
I have 4 persuasion.
Okay, so you're going to roll 5 dice and keep 4.
Okay.
Now you can do that manually, or if you're doing the complex skill, your target number is a 10. Okay, so that's 2 degrees of success. What is your will rank?
4.
So that's 8.
I also have dedication. I don't know if that does anything.
That does not do anything right now.
Okay.
In this. So he is also affectionate to you. So basically he would take 7.
And then.
Well, actually, you're affectionate to him, I assume. Is that correct?
Yes.
So actually, your roll is a 20. So.
And then with Marcus.
Oh yeah. So 22. So technically, so it's 22 versus his 10. That's 3 degrees of success typically, which would defeat him. Now he's going to take a frustration on the other side too, right? So he gets a total of 3 frustrations. So he takes a frustration to you as well. So so basically he gives that to Oliver, the Faith Militant Oliver, and so he like shakes his head and he's like, it's not just about coins, Orlin, it's about other things that, and he just like shakes his head and he's like, it's about what happens when we leave this place, when the 7 embrace us after our deaths. I'm sorry, I can't just... And he just like shakes his head. So what does Horace say? Or do?
I think he's gonna try and assist.
Okay.
Henry, because he's sensing this thing is coming to a close. Give it to him to deal the final blow.
I think I got disconnected for a minute. What? I missed like the last.
I'm gonna assist you.
Okay,
cool.
So basically, he took a frustration. So Orlin would have defeated him, but he took a frustration and gave it to Oliver, the other Oliver. So he can't take any more frustrations. So
Oliver can't.
Your father Oliver can't. So,
right.
So if he's defeated and whoever defeats him next is going to win.
Right.
Here's the one, you kid.
But first, Horace needs to roll his persuasion to give you an assist. So
what's persuasion? Roll it now. Hey, nope.
So that is, that's a fail. So Oliver just kind of like man-at-arms. What does he know about coppers or religion, right?
Exactly.
And Leora like just looks at Horace and she like what gives you the death stare essentially.
He can take it.
So, Henry. So Henry has one frustration, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip you. That's fine. So basically, you're going to keep one less die. What do you say to? Now.
Well, so
just so you know,
I could use a destiny. Or
yes,
like
that's exactly what I was going to say.
I don't want to burn it.
Right, you can spend a destiny point
for the scene. Right.
Mm-hmm. You can spend a destiny point here. So
I forgot about that.
I will spend a destiny point.
Okay.
To do a persuasion convince.
Okay.
On my father Oliver.
Okay, so let's go through the stats here. What's your persuasion?
Persuasion's a 4, convince is a 2.
Okay, so you're going to use the destiny point, so that's going to give you extra bonus die. So that's
7 total die.
Yep, and then you lose a test die because of the frustration. So you're going to keep 3. So basically, you're going to roll. You're going to roll.
Roll 7, keep 3.
Correct. That's what you're going to do.
Target
10. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So you did a convince, right?
Yeah, and so he's basically like, basically just trying to convince him that, think of your younger days. You would have put us before this 7 gods or whatever you wish to put in such high esteem.
Nice 6s. What is your will?
My will is a 4, I believe. Yes.
Okay, so basically that's 2 degrees. So that's 8. Okay, so 8 minus 1. He's affectionate. Oh, I'm sorry. So we should have given you a bonus, right? Because he's affectionate.
So just roll one
more. You don't roll. You just get a static plus 5. So so basically you rolled an 18. Which is 2 degrees of success. So that's going to be 3 degrees of success. So 3 degrees of success actually is much better. So you got a 12 minus a 1, that's 11. He has 9 composure to your side, so he's defeated. So Oliver looks at Henry and looks at his 2 daughters that are watching on, kind of impassively, not really knowing what to think since they're so young, and he's like, "You're right, Henry." He's like, I can't in good conscience give you a large, vast sum. However, I do not want to offend the gods. And the 2 knights look at each other, and they look at Leora, and she says, "Fine, uncle. There's talk of apostates in Redwater itself." And the knights look at each other and they're like, "Aye, this is what we've heard. Perhaps you should root it out. Root out the evil. Purge
if they
it.
Cause us... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If they cause us any issues, then we will respond in kind. As
You hear a
such,
cracking sound from Horus.
These are just that. Rumors.
And Lior is like, there are not rumors. I know it for certain. The gods have
Where's
told
your
me,
proof?
and my eyes have told me, old man. And the knights speak up, and they're like, my lord, we're going away empty-handed for coin. At least fight against the cause.
We will give you compensation.
Oliver shakes his head, and he stands up, and he's like, Orlin, we cannot send these men away empty-handed with coin, even a pittance that will pay them. This is for our souls. And he looks at Horus, and he's like, Master at Arms, I want you to take care of these men, bring them to justice, either with steel or with shackles. And he looks at Henry, and he's like, you best go.
But Henry nods.
And Lior is like, I'll have my men show you to where they are. What does Orlin say to all this?
He's just like, it's gotten to the point where, you know, he can't say any more. It's just like, fine. He's just kind of like, he's gripping his shoulder where his arm was, and he's kind of like, he has this ticked off look on his face, but he's like looking away from from Oliver and co.
Okay. And the two knights start, like, basically walking towards the exit. Whoa. Heading towards the exit, and they're like, we'll be in the rooms you have given us, my lord. Please fetch us when the deed is done. And they exit the hall.
Henry turns to his father and he says, typical, they're not even going to help.
He's like, son, this is our duty. On our lands, we have the right of pit and gallows. He's like, we will do the gods' work.
He just asks, and if God's work was that I was an apostate, would you just do their bidding without asking questions?
And he frowns, and he's like, do not speak of such, my son. You are not an apostate. Then he's like, go now. Take whom you will to bring these people to justice.
Henry shakes his head and walks to Horus. And basically says the same thing, like, who should we bring? I would rather bring them back alive than just murdering men. We have no...
I agree wholeheartedly. I have not heard any rumors of burnings recently. Have you, my lord? No, what is your official title? Are you Lord Heir?
He's not a knight, so you wouldn't call him sir. But like a general title for heirs or lords in waiting is just lord. Yeah, my lord.
So I'll ask him if I have not heard of any burnings in the area. Have you, my lord?
None at all. That's why I'm not sure what's going on here, but my father promised, so we must do it.
If you would permit me a moment to speak with my wife. Then I shall join you and have my man join us. That should be enough.
Yeah, Leora is sitting next to Oliver, still looking very displeased and talking to him in hushed tones. And as Horus towers over her, she looks up at him and she's like, my dear husband. Is she? No, you tower over her. Sorry, I didn't.
I know. I'm just saying, how tall is this poor
girl? No, I didn't mean it that way. Sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, she looks up at you and she's like, my dear husband, thank you for your support.
My love, my apologies. I came for a different reason. I had not heard rumors of burnings in the area. You know such things I will absolutely not tolerate.
And she's like, burnings? They're smarter than that to burn people or idols in public. But they are apostates. I have heard rumors of them meeting in dark places and calling out to Relore.
Rumors.
More rumors. Henry says.
A couple more steps forward. My love, you know that I serve the Seven. But it feels wrong to punish a man simply because he believes in another thing. 'Tis the very reason why. So a bit closer. I tend to disagree with the Faith Militant. I agree that they are now needed because of these. Some of the servants of the Red God have indeed gone around burning people and raising arms in such a manner. I do not believe that people who simply do as such believe that they should be strung up for that. Strikes me as wrong, my love.
And she looks at you and she's like, I do not care what you think, you lout. And she kind of pushes you against you, and she kind of moves backwards as she pushes against you, obviously. And she's...
Careful, my love. Please, don't hurt yourself.
And she stands up and kind of side shimmies kind of away. And she's like, I believe the Lord gave you an order. And Oliver's kind of looking at Horace from his seat, and he's like, Sir, he's like, please take your domestic disputes elsewhere and do as you're told.
At once, my lord.
I'd like to walk up to Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, Henry, a word. And kind of like look at, like, kind of like nudge my head to the side, kind of like a little farther away from Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
So once once we move away, I say, Henry. I don't call him Lord. He's basically like a second son. So he's just, Henry. I think these are rumors, but you should stay on your guard. Do not get complacent. Okay? Remember what I taught you.
And he nods. He understands.
Good. And try to somewhat agree with your father. I mean, you may not you may not need to agree with what he says, but he is still your father.
And once again, he nods. And he understands.
Good. And then he's going to give a nod, and then walk away, kind of looking at Oliver, kind of like, I hope you know what you're doing. Yeah, I feel like as friends, he can do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Oliver just kind of steel-faced and stands up, and he kind of walks towards the exit, and he's like, I expect my will to be done. And is like, kind of puts an end to any disagreement and walks out of the room. And trailing behind him is the Septa. And so there's kind of like people looking around, kind of very like, oh my god, And the two girls leave too, but that's whatever. So we're gonna do a scene swap. So those that aren't militant, like Marcus and Orlin, can select different characters to go with. I don't really care who. That can be, right now it's easily either Hector or Roderick could go. So if you want to select those two characters for the next scene, you can.
Right.
God, yeah.
Or Harmon could go in Henry's stead if Henry didn't want to go.
Yeah, I think Henry would want to go with this, though.
Okay. All right.
Yep, Roderick will join along.
So will Hector.
Okay. Let's give me 2 seconds here.
What should Horace bring for this occasion?
Alright. If you guys want to pull your tokens into the map, that's fine. Just start over this way. I'll resize them if they're too big.
That's about fitting, though.
Yeah.
Giant Horace.
If he had massive, I might do it.
He'd be a large creature.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I do for
How do you
warfare.
drag it?
Just grab your character and just pull it. So if
Gotcha.
I mean, if you're having problems, I can do it too. It's not a big deal. Perfect.
Would it be reasonable to have a large shield on one's back?
Yeah, you could have a large shield with you. That's not
Okay,
a
so he's
problem.
bringing his large shield and his long sword, and he's got his great sword in his hand.
Yeah, it's fine.
Henry would have a bow and a short sword.
Yep. So there's 2 new characters with you, Roderick and Hector. You want to explain who they are and what they look like for the people who have brought them?
Sure.
Sure. I can go later if.
That's fine. Hector is the friend of Marcus Redmayne. He met him probably about a year or two back. Being friends with him, he also came with him to the Perch and acts as a sworn sword to House Redhawk. And he has sandy blonde hair, and he's fairly handsome. But other than that, he's your average height, and he's I want to say 20 or I don't know, he's 30 years of age.
Okay.
All right. Roderick. So Roderick is the son of Orlin Blackwater, but I'd also like to say that you could say otherwise. I'd like to say Henry. He's Henry's close friend as well, considering they grew up together. I feel Roderick would have trained alongside with Henry up until he squired under Lord Olivar. But they still keep close ties. Like they're still close. If you disagree with that, you can let me know.
No, that makes sense.
So he's a bit empty. He's a bit absent-minded at times. He usually has a lot on his mind, but usually when he's in combat, that's where he's his most focused. But yes, yeah, that's kind of Roderick in a nutshell.
Okay. So you approach, you head out into down out of the Perch and ride for an hour or so to get to the town. And as you get there, you have some men with you, but you start riding through the town, and where this guide is taking you, Leora's guide, is taking you to very, very narrow parts of the town, kind of like the lower income districts, right? And so you cannot take your horses into these areas. And basically the guide walks you down and points you to some buildings, and he's like, "There, my lords, there." He's like, "There are 2 dyers, and they certainly are apostates." And he just kind of like points you towards the building where they are. They've been in town a few months and have been causing others to join their evil ways, their sorceress god.
That's right. I have a question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fact that the certain is it known absolute fact that people of the Red God are sorcerers? That the stuff we know on the show is true?
No, it's not.
Or just
It's not.
whispers?
It is. It is. There's whispers, and there's a big event right in the north where in this time, they just act very strangely, and this guy's a peasant, right? He doesn't know any better necessarily, so. Just all the superstition that's told him from, the Seven or whatever.
So when this guy says that, Henry will turn to the group and just say, nobody engages without my say. And then he turns to Horace and he says, but the moment I say, be ready to kill. Because he's obviously going to try to... We're not going to attack unless we're for sure these people are fucked up. So
yeah, like Horace looks sad that it might even come to that.
Roderick
But he
will...
agrees.
What does Roderick do? Say that again.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say Roderick's going to pipe up to Henry and say, but Henry, my lord, I was told by father to protect you. So, I will follow your orders, but should you come in danger, I will act.
should these men put me in danger, I would gladly let you kill them.
By the way, when he says like my lord, he's kind of like mocking because it's kind of like
Right, it's like
two friends.
it's sarcasm. I kind of picked
Yeah.
up on it a little bit. And he like nods at the sarcasm, like rolls his eyes when he says what he says.
All right, after
And
you,
then
my lord.
He continues to walk forward, and he says, "Horace next to me," and then
Of course.
what was the name of the person who's like the friend? Your character, Solar.
Roderick.
It's Heck.
Oh, wait.
People vying for your friendship here.
Okay, so
Roll intrigue.
so he was your Orland's son, right?
Yes. Oh no.
No,
the one in the
I'm
back.
a friend of.
The
That's
black
Orlan's.
watercolors.
Yeah. Okay. So then, and then he says to you, the son of Orland, and you right on our rear, and then obviously we'll let the other person do kind of their own thing. He wants people he knows, obviously, right next to him. Around him.
Right.
Well, you know everyone, right? They're just.
Well, I mean, I know everyone,
It's a
but
small house.
who do I trust the most?
Yep.
Right?
No, understood.
Here, you can take it aside.
Horse jumps on a building.
Matrix. All right, so you head towards the building, and you hear the sounds of normal people living. You hear people laughing. You hear babies crying. You hear dogs barking. As you get closer and closer to the building, and the guide is like pointing, and he kind of steps out of the way and lets you guys go forward.
All right, so the alleyway splits here,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yep.
What's Roderick wearing again?
I think. Hold on, I have it. Wearing half plate.
Okay. And Henry's in breastplate? Brigandine?
Henry would be wearing Brigandine for this.
Okay, and Hector?
He has scale.
Okay.
All right, so I guess at this little thing, he'll kind of like motion Horace forward.
It's gonna roll strength to walk through the building.
Should we split up, gang?
He'll nod, or Henry will nod.
All right.
And he'll just say to you, yeah, never mind. Yeah, you got that works.
Did you want Roger just to stay with you and then have me just walk over there?
That's fine. No, I mean this works.
Okay.
I don't feel exposed yet. And then as we're approaching them, he'll whisper to Horace, kind of, when we get to them, step past them, and we'll stop just like us, like a 5 foot short of them. So basically, he's telling Horace to go like right here.
So basically, they're you see basically they're, I guess this guy's more like this part. So basically they're outside and they look like they have these big barrels, okay, and they're taking these pieces of cloth and dipping them in the barrel, and their hands are coming up green. One's green and one's red, and they're like dyeing the cloth. And one man turns and he's like, oh, he's like, brother, and they both kind of turn and they give these deep bows, and yeah, you don't. There's nobody down there. You don't see anybody. They just kind of look kind of nervously, and is like, "Me lords, how can we help you?"
Henry just says, "I was hoping that we can speak with you. Would you like to go inside your home?"
Of course, me lord. It's not big, but we can all squeeze in, I think. And they take you inside. You just they just move in here, right?
And then he'll wave Horace in, but like kind of have the other two guard. If there's multiple entrances, guard the entrances.
Would there be like a like windows or doorways on this side over here?
It is actually butts up against another building.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, there's no way to get from this building to this building, if that's what you mean.
Okay, so if anything, I'll just probably go somewhere.
There's a door here, right? There's a door there.
Are there any animals in this house at all?
So there's a sheep that is tied up in the corner.
Okay, cool.
And it's kind of just sitting there, not doing really anything. And they look up and they're like, "Me lord, I do not know what to," and they just kind of like bow their head.
And so these guys are supposed to be apostates of the red.
That's what the guide said.
Okay. So that's what Henry's gonna ask. What do you know of the Red God? And would I be able to do like awareness, empathy, or I guess I'd wait for their answer and then.
Sure. So the first thing I want you all to roll awareness notice.
Okay.
And if you want to do the target number in your complex skills, put a 14 in there.
Ooh, nice. Horace is on the ball for once.
Wow, you guys are really seeing a lot.
Damn it.
You're outside. It's fine.
Truly seeing a lot.
I'm outside.
Oh yeah.
So 3 of you see. Hold on a second. 3 of you see a young girl sprinting off, kind of in the direction that you came.
So
I don't see this girl.
Can
Wait, somebody
Roderick.
asked a question.
yeah, can Roderick out there?
I mean, considering she ran right past me.
Well, can he see me? I mean, like through a window maybe or something. Would there be anything there that I could shout? Well, I mean, if she came out that direction, then she would have to be able to hear me from that direction. I mean,
You could shout outside, certainly.
Yeah, so then he'll yell, "Get the girl," and then he immediately like asks, "What's the meaning of this? What's going on?"
So the first thing that happens is the men, when you ask about the Red God, they look at each other and they're like, "Red God? What's that?" And then so at that same time, this girl blurs past Roderick, just because Roderick didn't see them, right? He's the only one. Who
Right,
didn't
he
see
was,
them.
yeah.
But by the time Henry yells outside, and it makes more thematic sense if she's on the other side, but she'll be the same distance away from Roderick. That's fine. For them to see her. So she kind of rushes past Roderick and is heading in this direction, right? So you guys go ahead and tell me what you want to do.
I'll go after the girl.
Okay, so you're in half plate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's find out. And do you have your shield on you? I'm assuming
No.
you do. You do not?
Oh.
Okay. I mean, it's up to
no.
you. Okay, so half plate is bulk 3. All right, so you're going. We're going to do a athletics running, and so you're going to take a -3.
Okay, that didn't work.
So if you put a negative in the formula, it won't work. So you just have to if you're doing the complex skills wherever it says AP,
Yeah.
just put a 3 in there and it automatically subtracts it.
So okay.
So if you're doing complex skill, it should say like AP or
total die.
Yeah.
And then it says keep.
Yeah, keep
So
keep
it'd
is
be
your
0.
athletics. No, keep is your athletics.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have running, right? You don't have. I'm assuming.
No.
So it would
No.
be 0
And
for
then it
that
says
one.
target.
Target is if you really don't have a target. Actually, I'll tell you what it is. Hold on.
I'm not gonna make it, but
Waiting for this little girl to have like 5 athletics.
She's gonna be pretty fast.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
So your target is a 9.
well, -3, right?
Yeah, so that's 2d. I don't know if this was.
That'd be 5 and 5.
10 -3, so 7, right?
Yeah.
So you move 1 closer to her, and she moves 2 away. So if she gets to here, she's gone. Because she beat you by 1 degree of success.
Good luck, guys.
So we can roll again. I'll roll for her, and then you can roll to catch up. Now, don't forget your destiny points. You can use destiny points. So.
Yeah, I'll use 1.
Okay. So what that's going to do? So. Let me roll hers first, so you know what your target is. So 15.
Oh
my gosh, you can't win.
I was like 9. That's doable.
Yeah. So you can use a destiny point or not, because you don't want to necessarily waste it, right?
Right. I just want to use it.
Okay. So if you want to use it, so that would add a bonus die to your roll. So it would be as if you had 5 total dice. So basically you're gonna roll 5 total dice, keep 4 dice, and then -3.
And 15 for the target. Shoot. So it's like 6.
Beats it.
Yeah, you got it by quite a bit. So 14. So hold on. So you kept. Okay, no, this is right. 20. Yep, 2 degrees of success. So she moves 1, and you move up 3. So you're right behind her now. So as you're running, she's like right in front of you, and you're kind of like reaching down to grab her. So 1 more. Let's roll again. So.
How many fate
I'm
points
used to
do
being
you
on
have?
a horse, all right? I have 1 more.
You can
Burn
use
it all
if you want.
chasing this little girl.
Well, it's not burning. It's just using.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
you're not burning. Yeah.
So like
This is the term I use for stuff.
when does it regain? Like when do I regain them?
Next session.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So yeah, I'll use it.
Okay.
So it's 5 and 4 again.
Mm-hmm.
All
Minus 3.
right.
Can you use those after?
No. Not for this.
Complex,
Right.
5, 4, 13.
Yeah, make sure you put the.
Wow.
Hot damn.
So
So
yeah,
she.
I don't make it.
You got a. Let's see what you rolled. You rolled a. 8.
So I got 8,
11.
10, 11, so 8.
So it's not a degree of success over him.
So yeah. So a 10.
It's safe to say.
You rolled a 10. Oh, plus 1. Yeah, so 11. Yep, 8. And she rolled a 13. That's 1 degree of success. So she goes 2. And you roll 1. So she's still not quite gone. So one more time. You could possibly catch her, maybe.
She's gone.
You basically
She's
got to
gone.
get 3 degrees of success to catch her.
This is gonna look good on you.
Yeah. So what's the run? Like this
so,
this
yep,
will
let me-
make or break it. Like so if she like rolls like crit.
Well.
Shit. It's I doubt it.
So you gotta roll basically a 22. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah,
Yep.
she's gone.
So Roderick's almost got her, and then all of a sudden he kind of stumbles, and she just like sprints off into an alleyway, makes a turn, and then by the time he gets there, he looks down the way she went, and she's not there. She's completely gone.
See
So-
her face.
So stay over here for a minute. Over there. Okay. So in the house, they are looking and they're like, "My lord, I don't know what you're talking." And then you yell, and they're like, "What is going on? What is going on?" They look very troubled.
And this one says, "Who was that little girl that just ran out?"
Didn't see a girl, my lord. Couldn't
And
say.
then how can I tell if they're being genuine?
So roll your
Empathy.
awareness, empathy. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So 4 awareness, 2 empathy.
Just roll it straight without using the macro.
Oh. What is that? So that's
Let's see. Hold on one second. Let me. I can give you a target number if you want.
yeah. This is
Yeah, your target number is an 8.
Hot damn, this will be good. Your passive beats that, I think.
so I roll 6, keep 4,
Mm-hmm.
target 8.
So it's clear they're not telling the whole truth. That's very clear that they are not telling the truth about the girl. That's obvious.
So Henry, he says, "I can tell you guys are lying. Tell me the truth now." And then he turns to Horus, or his sword begins asking the questions.
Crack the neck.
Yeah. So why
And I
don't you
don't
go
know if
ahead?
that-
Why don't you go ahead and roll? Either one, Horace or Henry, can roll persuasion, intimidate, and the other person can assist. So
I'd like to assist because I.
Okay.
Mine's done.
So if you're
4
assisting,
persuasion.
yep. So if you're assisting, you give half of your persuasion rounded down as a bonus. So
what's your persuasion?
You can take an additional 1.
Yep.
It was
So I
minus
get
3.
5 die, keep 4.
Mm-hmm. You have intimidate.
No,
Me?
I have
No.
4 persuasion.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Well, what do you rolling 5 die for then?
Because I
It's
thought
not
I got
additional
1
die.
from him.
Oh,
Static
the plus 1 is a static +1, yeah, for assist. So it's like 4d6 keep 4 +1. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's what
So
assist
it's just
does.
4. Keep 4. Target.
Target would be 1 second. I think it's
Did
going.
you type 4D4 or 4D6?
6.
Okay.
The target is 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 6. Mm-hmm.
This poor guy.
So the two dudes kind of like, oh, sorry, and they're like, they back up and kind of throw up their hands. And they're like, she's my niece. She probably saw you and got scared, my lord.
Can I roll it again? Empathy, awareness? Awareness,
Mm-hmm.
empathy. Same thing. Target.
Target is 6. Probably lying seems to be still. And so as Henry is questioning him, the door is thrown open behind him, and this pretty big guy, he's not as big as Horace, but hold on. That didn't work. 1 second. This kind of older dude with a leather apron, and he's got a big ass maul in his hand, and he's like, "Excuse me, lordlings, for intimidating my friends here. Heard you yelling. What's going on?" And this maul is humongous, right? And he's just kind of standing in the doorway.
I came here, or we came here with questions, and these men have done nothing but lie to us. Honesty to get them much further.
And he goes, "Don't know what they know. What did you ask them?"
Basically, we were sent to clear out some people, and I don't feel like you guys fit that description, but you are who we were sent to clear out. I'm not going to attack people who we have no business hurting. If they would just answer our questions, then we could probably be already on our way, but with them lying, it makes them look more guilty than when we started.
So the man's like, he's like, "They're dim of brain, milord. Ask me your questions, I'll answer them."
So that's when he'll ask, oh, okay, sorry. What was what did you say when were they lying about not knowing anything about the Red God?
You think so? Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
At least they know what it is. They're not as completely clueless as they make out to be.
So Henry will say, what do you know of the Red God and apostates to the 7 gods?
And he kind of like touches his stomach and gives kind of a belly laugh, and he's like, "Apostates?" He's like, "Can't say the 7 ever did anything for me, me lord." He's like, "The Red God? Aye, I've seen it heal the pox." He's like, "What of it? Is that frowned upon here?"
Henry nods. Well, nods to what he said at first, and he says, "No, nothing of which following any god is not wrong. It's what some of them have been doing to people. That is why we're here. If it turns out that you and your group here are peaceful and cause no harm to no men, then there's easily an arrangement that can be worked out. But if it comes to fruition that you guys are gonna keep lying, then my friends here will take care of you." And then he kind of like gestures to the group. "But I don't want that to happen," he adds.
And so the man just kind of chuckles, and he's like, "Well, my lord, I can't say I'm doing anything wrong." He's like, "I admit freely to not following the 7 and to following the Red God a bit. I say my prayers and pray I don't get struck down by the pox or grayscale or some other horrible thing."
Can I do another awareness, empathy, to see if he's...
Yep. Your target would be... Let's see. Target is... Yeah, it's 8. Yeah, you don't feel that he's lying. He seems to be kind of genuine. He kind of reminds you of like the kind of old, like an old uncle type of sort of guy. No nonsense.
Okay. So he says, Henry nods, and he's clearly happy about that person.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
And then at the second bit, or then he says,
yeah.
What about that girl that ran out of here? Who was she?
And he's like, I didn't see her, but I assume you mean Dira. She's Tom's daughter. She's special. She's scared of men. And he kind of frowns, and he's like, a couple men came, a few months ago, and beat her something silly, my lord. Tried to rape her if it wasn't for my maul. Smashed one's head in. Not afraid to admit
Because of this horse will step up, like, kind of forgetting himself. What men? Who? Where? Who are they with?
He's like, couldn't say. Likely from across the river, that's what I hear.
Henry spits when he hears that the men were probably from across the river, and he says they were definitely from across the river if they were acting like that.
He shrugs and he's like, not been able to figure out who they were, my lord. Can't say. All the rumors I've heard are they're from the other side of the river. And he kind of like thinks for a moment. And he says, yes, heard they were mixed up with that trade consortium over there. Couldn't say. Don't know much about it. That Perwin Blackwater, I think, is what he's called. And Roderick could be back over here by now. I just didn't know if it was going to turn into a combat, so Roderick could have heard that. And Perwin Blackwater is obviously your uncle, right? He's Melina's father.
Is anybody else going to say anything? Otherwise, I mean, I have more, but anybody going to pipe up, say anything?
I doubt it.
Okay, so Henry, at this point, he turns to the group and he says, these men have done nothing wrong by my standards. If any of you have problems with me going against my father's wishes, you should speak now. Otherwise, these men will go free today.
Your father's specific orders was to... What exactly? Arrest the apostates?
Arrest or kill the apostates.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that this is where you guys have your chance to speak. What kind of compromise are you trying to make if you feel like so Henry's at the point where he's trying to be not only against the gods in a way, but also rebelling against his father in a way as well. Not that he doesn't respect his father, but that he feels like blindly following anything is a recipe for disaster, kind of. So, that being said, he's totally against this, but he would accept someone could convince him that there's a middle ground or whatever,
Yeah, speak up, guys, if you have anything to say. Like Roderick, did you hear?
Well,
did you hear what he said about?
Oh, because I was told to stay over here.
No,
so
I was saying you, by now you could be over here, and you heard him basically say that he heard that they had something to do with the trade consortium from the other side of the river, which would be your uncle's trade consortium, right?
Right.
So.
Roderick is going to say, I'm assuming he came back and he's heard all of this,
Mm-hmm.
but he's going to say, Henry, I think it'd be best if we leave right now. I wasn't able to catch the girl, and I don't have a good feeling about this.
He fills him in, and so basically Henry says the girl's not our problem here. These men, they're not what we should truly be after. And then he continues to fill him in on the rest of the stuff that they're not like burning people or doing anything too crazy. They're just, they kind of follow the Red God. And the Seven don't like it, so they're trying to kill him, which Henry's not down for.
Right.
Horace will come over to Henry and whisper, says perhaps, he said the girl got away. Perhaps it would be best if we wait here for a short time to see if any more come. That way their true intentions may be known if they come to attack us.
Henry says, well, and Henry at this point, with as well as my roles, my successes, where he really honestly, truly believed that these guys are cool and they're not doing anything too crazy, right?
Is this other guy like still blocking the door?
He's in the doorway, yeah, talking to Henry. When he sees you kind of come over, he kind of like sidesteps so you're not directly behind him, and he kind of leaves the door open for Henry to come out, and he's like, huh, look here, a knight. And he kind of puts his maul over his shoulder and just standing there. It doesn't look like he's threatening at all. So what does Hector do? He's kind of been just kind of guarding them for a while.
He would walk up to Henry. I'm not sure how much he would trust Hector, but he would walk up to Henry and say that if we don't give your father at least these men in shackles, what will we give the sword? What are they called?
Faith Militant.
Henry responds with, he says, okay, so he asks the guy, how valuable is that sheep to you?
The sheep? And
yeah.
he's like, it's their sheep. I assume they're going to shear it soon and use it in their cloth.
Okay, well, so the guy that told us to do this is close, right? He's like watching from down the alleyway.
He's down the alleyway somewhere. He couldn't see in the building, right?
Right, of course, exactly. Yeah. So that's when Henry turns and he looks at the group and says, "Do you think that sheep can produce enough blood to cover us and our weapons to make them think that we just killed these men?"
It would probably suffice.
And are you saying this in front of the...
Yeah, so like this is an open... Yeah, he's open.
Yeah, so he like takes his beard and
he's like... He wants
to
see him clearly trying to think of a plan to save them,
He's like, He's like, my lord, appreciate the thought, but we still live here. They're going to be able to see us here eventually.
Right. So it may be a good idea if you guys were to leave.
Right, I had thought of that. And mind you, Henry was totally refusing to give any gold to the Faith Militant, but he'll suggest, what if I was to lend you, or to give you just a few gold pieces to just get out of here, because otherwise you will be killed. And Henry says, remembering that him saving the girl, and you seem like a good person.
So he's like, I suppose, my lord, it's not easy to travel these days, but I suppose we could head to Ironwood or Will.
Question. During these types of situations, wouldn't they ask for like a head or something like as proof?
I thought about that too, right? And who are they gonna call the Lord a liar? That's what I was thinking. I had already thought about that, right? And in my mind, like when you think like Westerosian, you don't like. They're not. If Henry came back covered in blood and shit and said the deed was done, like I don't know. I guess that's a good question for Ted. Like, how questioned would that be?
I mean, I don't think you would necessarily have to produce heads.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you'd necessarily have to produce heads, but you better come up with a good story. And
well, he saw us walk in.
Mm-hmm.
I invited them into the house, and then that's the last thing he saw. He
Yep.
saw the dude chase a girl away, and then now he's gonna see us walking out covered in blood.
Yeah,
So
I don't think the guide is gonna say anything, but you might have to convince the Faith Militant or your father with deception, potentially.
Right.
That's where Harlan steps in.
Exactly. But he'd have to figure it out somehow. But yeah, so no, that's what Henry. That's Henry's plan. That's what he wants to do. So if anybody, regardless of what the consequences could be for this, I think this is what Henry's character would do, or Henry as a character would do the most. Because he's very anti-Faith Militant, wanting to kill these men for no reason.
And so Uruk agrees to take everyone and leave, as long as he has enough money to get there. And I mean, a few gold pieces is going to get them a long way, obviously.
And so they would, the Faith Militant also know this man, like they know who he is, right?
Well, the Faith Militant
They
don't.
must.
Leora is the one who basically told the Faith Militant that there were apostates here, right?
Okay.
So Leora knows them, or knows of them. She didn't never specifically said if she knew them specifically. The Faith Militant do not know, because they're not from here, right?
Right, exactly. So that's what he says to the guy. I may need one more thing. Your weapon. It may be what they know you by, and you seem to be very good with it. If I throw in an extra gold piece or two, it would help us sell this and keep me and you out of trouble.
And he kind of grumbles and he's like, my hammer. And he kind of like pulls it down and kind of looks at it and he's like, I suppose. He's like, I use this in the wars. He's like, serving House Redhawk, I might add. And he kind of like frowns and he's like, if you think it's necessary, lad. And he kind of like drops it to the ground.
And then he also wants to. So Henry, like, this guy easily could have came in like swinging his axe, and so he'll also say to the man, if I'm ever in charge, and you hear of it, you're more than welcome in these lands, you and your friends.
And he nods and he's like, I appreciate that, my lord. And he's like, but I think we'll probably be moving on. It looks like these lands are not suitable for us that don't worship the seven. And he kind of shrugs and he's like, appreciate you though, sir. Not attacking us and my dim-witted friends here. And the two dyers are just kind of like sitting there looking nervously at each other, dumb as a box of rocks.
He better, Roderick is going to say, well, if we're going to be covering ourselves in blood, we might as well cover the building. Because I'm pretty sure they will come back to inspect the area.
Of course. We'll also ransack the joint to make it just seem like looters came in, and who knows? Maybe somebody took the body for whatever reasons. They probably won't ask questions. Hopefully.
It pains him to do this, but Horace will comply.
Yeah, and he turns to Horace and he says, if my cousin hears a word of this, I guess I don't even know how to threaten Horace now that I think about it, because he has pretty high standing within the.
Yeah, Horace is married to her, so that kind of is a complication, right?
Well, no, that's kind of the point. That's why. But I don't want Horace to, because I'm. So I guess he'll be more like, instead of being so aggressive about it, it's more of a. Basically, he tells Horace, he's like, I respect what you do, and you as a man, but please tell your cousin, or tell my cousin nothing of this.
This will not reach her. Other words will. I must speak with her.
Henry,
This goes
When
too
you're
far.
free.
Sorry, what?
Henry, when you're free, I would like to have a word.
So Henry will tell Horace, could you begin killing and gathering this blood, or killing the sheep and gathering the blood?
I believe I know how to do this.
Yeah, and then I guess he'll also ask. He'll ask, what's the guy's name? He'll ask Hammer Guy. Can you have your friends help?
He's like, I think that would probably make them go quite mad. He's like, but I'll help wreck the place. And he kind of picks up his hammer and goes in and just starts clubbing things. And he's like, give the sheep a quick death at least, sir.
Of course. I'll take the sheep, stab it through the heart, killing it quickly, and then in front of people, I'll cut the sheep into halves and quarters so blood sprays all over them.
Yeah, make it yeah, there's got to be blood splatter and shit.
Yeah, it's a mess. Yeah, as much blood as you can wring out of the sheep, you're able to do that. It looks like it's probably sufficient enough for dead bodies.
And then somebody needs to, I think, Roderick, was it? Or was it?
Yes. Yes, it was Roderick.
Okay, so yeah, so he heard the whispers, and he sent Horace off, and then kind of slinked over to you, and then said, "What is it?"
Now, it's all well and good how easy this went along, but you can't always be that trusting.
Henry says, "I understand, but something you must understand is," and then he smiles really big, because you guys are friends, and he's not always super serious with you, and he smiles really big, and he says, "But I have great intuition," and he just gives a wink.
Like Roderick
and
kind
you
of
know it to be true as well. Like you know that he's really good at reading people. You may still be worried about what he does, but you do know that he's good at reading people.
Right. So Roderick kind of like drops his head a bit and then just kind of does like a scoff, kind of like, yeah, I mean, you got a point. But I'm sure you remember what happened to my mother. Those people had good intentions also. Or at least that's what we thought. We thought they were good people. We tried helping them out, and you see what happened? We have to be on our guard, always. No matter how good they seem. I'm just doing this because I care for you, as a friend, as a brother.
So yeah, he nods in agreement. You can tell that he knows where you're coming from. He may continue to be kind of rash about things, but yeah.
Good. Now let's get back in there and spread ourselves with goat's blood, or sheep's blood.
So essentially,
he like jumps through the sprinkler. It's like a sprinkler system, and he just kind of like prances through it.
Like I like put my hand onto my half plate and then like smear it a bit, so it looks like they put their hand on me and then like slid down. But
so basically, you make a mess of the place, and Urt is like, "You sure you want me to hit you?" to Horace, and he kind of smacks you not very hard with his maul, and it dents your armor enough, and he's like, "That's the only time I've hit a man without trying to hurt him." And he kind of laughs and sits down next to the dead sheep, and the other two are just like kind of cowered in the corner, and he's like,
"Right."
Yeah, he's like, "Well, we'll wait for Dira to come back, and then we'll make our way off." And he looks at Henry, and he's like, "I'm going to need some funds to do so, though, my lord, as you said."
Yeah, so I guess help me real quick. So he obviously wouldn't give them like full price for like everything they needed because he's not hiring them for anything. He's trying to save
If you
their
literally
lives.
gave them 1 gold, it would be fine.
Okay, then yeah, I was gonna say a couple. Yeah, okay, so between the 3 of them, he wants to give 4 gold. Just...
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Oh wait, no.
1
Remember,
total would
gold
be
is
fine.
200 silver.
Yeah.
Like 2 gold
That's
should
it.
be more than enough.
I keep forgetting the whole exchange.
Yeah,
rate
1
so,
gold
like,
would
copper, silver, gold,
yeah, 1 gold
you know.
would
So,
get them there and be able
Right.
to like live comfortably for a while until they got on their feet and whatnot.
So, yeah, he definitely gives a single gold.
Okay. So he's like, "It's mighty generous, my lord, even though now I have to get on a cart and ride. My butt's gonna be full of splinters before long." And yeah,
Oh, I
so
wish
you... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
So yeah, he pretty much wishes them luck on their journey, and
Okay. So you go about destroying the place, and the 4 of you leave. Your guide is waiting and looks at you, and he's like, "Go ahead."
I'd like to walk out first.
I forgot to tell them, be sure to hide here until nightfall, and if anybody comes, you better hope they don't see you.
He's like, "Aye, my lord. Not a problem. We'll sit here and bask in the blood." Heh. And he kind of laughs and goes to a cupboard and pulls out a loaf of bread and starts eating it.
It's so awkward.
Man, dude, I wanted this guy on my crew. Like,
Right?
how do I hire him? But,
I'm just like, I'm trying to trust him.
I mean, I got like 2 and 3 successes on every single roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that he's not lying. But
All right, so yeah, so Henry leads them back out. This time he would lead the way, knowing that there's no real danger around. So he would want to be in front, mind you, knowing there's no real danger. He wants to be in front.
Okay. So the guide is waiting at the end of the alleyway, and as he sees you walk out, he kind of gives you a nod and kind of like looks you up and down, and he's like, "Just left the body straight in there, huh?" He's like, "That's impressive."
Not much left.
And he just kind of, I mean, he's not going to question you, obviously. So he's like, "All right, my lords, I'm going to head back to the castle now. Lady Leora would want to hear from me."
Have them prepare some wet towels.
Screw towels, I'm having a bath.
Yeah, yeah, he's like, "All right, my lords," and he just kind of scurries off and leaving you guys to walk
so what
back.
does Henry, does Henry know of the dynamic of those two's like relationship? Like
Who's that?
Horace and Liara.
Yeah, Leora, it's troubled, obviously. You know that certainly that she did not want to be married to him, but your father insisted upon it. And
So,
basically once they got married, that's when she became a septa, so she could basically not have to, have much relations with him.
And Horace is always trying to get close to her.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to think he's pretty in love with her, and that annoys the crap out of her.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. That's the vibe I was getting. So that's perfect. So Henry kind of makes a joke, and he doesn't mean it mean. He's just trying to kind of be funny. But he's like, after you say that thing about the bath, he's like, and I'm sure that bath is gonna be alone, huh? Because mind you, this is Dorn, and everybody's getting them.
I mean, he's not from here, so maybe he thinks on it for a second, then remembers. Oh yeah, Dorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it.
Okay.
You gotta
So
give her one thing. She's got a strong will.
she has 5. So so yes, she does. So you guys head back. And let's flip the scene real quick. Back to the Perch. So currently, so you guys can pick who you play again. I think, or you can do a kind of a mix, right? If Roderick needs to tell his dad something or something like that, right? Or we can assume that happened, or.
I feel Roderick and Orland would have that good of a relationship that he would have told him what happened.
Okay. That's fine.
But that's kind of like the extent, and then I just switch back to Orland.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So by the time you get back, you walk in, you kind of clean yourself up, and by the time you're kind of milling around, Leorta approaches. She actually approaches Horace, and she looks up at him, and she's like, "The deed was done? You removed the apostates?"
Yeah, she looks pretty cross. He looks over at her and says, "They're no more trouble." It was a bad thing, though, Leora. I hope you know that. These were good men, loyal men.
And she's like, "Loyal to who? They're traitors of our religion." And she's like, "You're a Valeman. You should know better."
Your uncle.
And she's like, "My uncle is a pious man. He does what he does for the Seven."
Mitchell, your wife's kind of a bitch.
I'm working on that. I actually love it as a character. It's pretty awesome.
So, so she doesn't really grill you on the details about it. She doesn't actually ask you anymore. She just basically rolls her eyes at Horace, and she's like, "The Lord will want to speak to you in more detail." And she just kind of like trots off. And she's gone for maybe 10 minutes while you guys are kind of supping and eating dinner or whatnot. And so Lord Oliver walks in and kind of goes to the front of the room, and he looks at Henry and he's like, "Tell me what happened, boy."
Henry puts his head down and shakes it, and he's like, "You're not gonna like it." Well, basically, they attacked for no reason, like bloodthirsty animals, and we put them down, and yeah, shows them all, and it's like, the man was huge.
He's like, "And you're all unharmed?" Looking concerned.
Horace took a single blow, but I mean, it was 4 against 1. The other 2 men were, they were pretty useless. They attacked barehanded and like simpletons.
Okay, why don't you roll deception?
All right, I would also like to use a destiny point for this.
Mm-hmm. Feel free. It's versus a 10, so.
I would like. Could I assist him?
Yes, you absolutely can. What does Orland say?
Orland's going to say, "My lord, I have trained Henry just like he was a son of my own. If he says this, I know it to be true."
Okay.
And I can roll bluff as well.
For an assist, you just give him a static
half your
bonus.
deception.
Yep, half your deception rounded down. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was up.
Yeah,
okay.
It's always down.
And I don't add bluff to it?
No,
No, okay. So yeah, it would be 2.
Okay, so he'll get a +2 to his roll
That's
as well.
still good for this because it's a 10. So I mean,
Yeah, we're just doing a simple intrigue. This
So
is a simple
4.
intrigue. Yep, so you'll roll bluff.
which I have none. So 4, keep 4.
Yep, and then so you're rolling you're
Sorry,
using a
hit
destiny
10.
point, so you get an extra specialty dice as if you had one bluff.
Oh,
So you can just cancel the
Yeah.
macro, and then so you're rolling 5, keeping 4, +2.
It's a lot of 3s and 2s.
Yep, that's still good enough for 2 degrees of success. So Oliver nods and he's like, I know it's hard, my son. He's like, but sometimes we must do what is right, even though it seems like it is the wrong thing. I would prefer these men to have come back in chains so they could have been purged of their sin. But sometimes blood must be spilt. That is the way of things. That is the way of war. And we are at a holy war right now, my son, against these men of evil from Essos. We cannot let them take our lands and our hearts and our children. We must fight. And he kind of like puts his hands on your shoulders and looks in close and kind of puts his forehead against yours, and he's like, one day you will rule in my stead, and you will know the burden of these decisions.
he nods and he says, and I hope I handle them as well as you do, Father.
And he kind of smiles and he's like, I believe I must pray. He's like, would you join me?
Orlin kind of like looks over at Henry and is just like, remember what I told you. Take
So,
one for the
yeah.
team.
Henry, he nods and he says, after that, I really do wish to pray, but my stomach, it doesn't feel right. I mean, there was a lot of blood. Is it okay if I just lay down?
And
And so
Oliver,
basically, he agrees, but he's trying to
get out of it.
still.
He's like,
Right, while agreeing.
yeah, he's like, see Marcus, he might have something for you. He's a knowledgeable man.
So he'll actually say, I will do that, Father. I will go straight to him. And he will. He will
And
go
so,
straight somewhere else.
yeah, and so Oliver leaves everyone to go pray with Leora in the small sept. The next day, the Faith Militant leave with no coin from your treasury, really, to speak of, besides what was used to feed them and house them. Nothing major. And so that is pretty much the end of the session. We will discuss. I'm just going to turn this off.